On October 7th, 2005, Ashlee Buzzard set off on a road trip with her 9-year-old daughter, Melodee, but returned home without her, leaving her family and those of us in the true crime community to wonder, what happened to Melodee Buzzard, and if she was even safe? Sadly, Melodee's life came to a devastating end, and this should never have been the outcome. Buckle up, Twisted family. This is a tough one. Hello and welcome to another episode of Truly Twisted. As always, I'm your host, Alicia Watson, and every Thursday I will be bringing you a story that is always victim-focused and fact-based. Now, before we start off today's episode, I just want to give a quick trigger warning. Today's episode involves the murder of a young child. So protect your personal space if you need to. I will be back next week with another episode. And for those of you listening, I really appreciate you being here. Now, during episode 27, I featured 9-year-old Melodee Buzzard in my moment for the missing, and I'm incredibly sad to say that her remains were found at the end of December 2025. It's not the outcome that the world wanted, but it's important for me that I tell the rest of her story. That and her murder is related to a much larger issue, filicide, the murder of a child by their own parent. According to U.S. statistics, this accounts for nearly 500 deaths every year. I sat down during episode 8 and talked to Hope Hooten, then Mater, about the murder of her 2 children, Lydia and Alec, at the hands of her ex-husband and their father Brock in 2004. Since then, she's been making waves in the legal world to spark change and hopefully save the lives of children in the future. In January of this year, the Alec and Lydia Act was passed in Arizona, and this bill mandates immediate court reviews after high-risk psychiatric hospitalizations of a parent or a caregiver, and requires evidence-based risk assessments and restricts unsupervised parenting time. Hope also now hosts her own show called Voices of Filicide, so please be sure to check that out. No one understands the issue better than someone who has lived through the tragedy of it. And based on what has been said about Ashlee Buzzard, I believe that if an act like this existed, it could have potentially protected Melodee. So let's talk about Melodee Buzzard. Melodee Alani Buzzard was born on February 10th, 2015 to parents Ashlee Buzzard and Rubiel Meza. She had an older half-sister from her dad's side named Karina as well. But sadly, just 6 months after Melodee was born, Rubiel died in a sudden motorcycle accident at the age of 40. Karina was an adult at the time, so having another child was really exciting for Rubiel. From what I gathered of family interviews, Ashlee and Rubiel had not been dating for that long, but it was an unexpected tragedy for everyone. For the first few years of Melodee's life, Ashlee raised her alone with some help and visitation from Rubiel's family. According to an interview with his younger brother Marvin, Ashlee had lost custody of Melodee in 2020 for neglectful parenting and was temporarily placed in the custody of Marvin and his wife. The details are murky, but Melodee would end up back with Ashlee, and from the time that Melodee was 5 years old, she was increasingly isolated from the paternal side of her family. Amid the investigation into Melodee's 2025 disappearance, the Mezas described Ashlee as being, quote, difficult and extremely mentally unstable, end quote. According to her aunt, Bridget Truitt, quote, we never stopped thinking about her or loving her or praying for her, end quote. Marvin Meza says the same. When he was caring for Melodee, he did like she was one of his own kids. And I can't even imagine not being able to see your grandchild or your niece, especially after tragically and unexpectedly losing her father years prior. You would want to treasure that child and keep her close. Now, Melodee had been in and out of the foster system during this period as well. I'm not sure why that was the case when there were other family members that were able to care for her and had in the past. But Ashlee claimed that Melodee had been adopted out by a family and that adopted family didn't want the biological family involved, basically cutting off all ties between her paternal side and Melodee. Melodee's paternal side of her family didn't even know that she was put back in the care of Ashlee until she was already reported missing. I can't even imagine. Ashlee was described as mentally unstable before all of this unfolded. As the biological mother of Melodee, there is no reason that she shouldn't have been raised by Ashlee. But I don't know if Ashlee had the tools or support in her own life to recognize that she was sick, and that she should not have had sole care of her child. I'm not blaming her father's side of the family. They tried their best to be a part of Melodee's life, and they cared for her when they could. The system failed to recognize what a larger problem was happening here, and that needs to change. Now, to clarify, I'm not stigmatizing mental health either, but for anyone that is able to take the life of their own child, it is clear that something is psychologically very wrong, and that help is needed. Ashlee Buzzard's name and adorable little face made headlines in October of 2025 when the Lompoc Unified School District in California requested a welfare check after Melodee had not been at school for an extended period of time. From the beginning, Ashlee Buzzard was uncooperative and failed to provide any reason for her daughter's absence, or even allow her location to be verified. And it was scary to follow and know that something was so wrong. But these are the details as we know it right now. On October 7th, 2005, Ashlee left with Melodee on a 3-day road trip from their home in Lompoc, California, towards Nebraska. Surveillance video shows Ashlee and Melodee on that day, both wearing wigs in the Santa Barbara car rental facility. Melodee has her hood pulled up over her head as well, and anyone that has followed this case or follows me on social media has seen these photos. But I will have them updated as well for this episode post. A day later, on October 8th, Ashlee removed the California license plate on her rented white 2024 Chevy Malibu and put a New York plate on the car instead. On October 9th, another surveillance video captured Melodee and Ashlee near the Colorado-Utah border. According to the route police have put together, Ashlee ended their trip in Green River, Utah. On October 10th, Ashlee Buzzard arrived home to Lompoc with the Chevy Malibu being returned, except Melodee was not with her. She had put the California plate back on the rental vehicle when it was returned as well. On October 14th, after Melodee had not been at school for a week, the district requested a welfare check of the child and she was reported missing to law enforcement. Melodee had been homeschooled for the last few years and was enrolled into an independent study program in August of 2025 through the school district. The district told ABC News in a statement, quote, "If attendance does not begin, the school follows mandatory truancy procedures, including phone calls, letters, emails, and home visits. When a student or family cannot be reached with these efforts, the school requests a welfare check from law enforcement," end quote. On October 15th, authorities arrived at the Buzzard home and conducted an initial search, and Ashlee actually needed to be escorted off the property because she was not being cooperative. Another search was then conducted on October 30th, where an expended cartridge shell was found at the house, and a live one was found in the rented Chevy Malibu that Ashlee had taken the day of their road trip, and these two shells were a match. A storage unit that Ashlee rented was also searched. Now, on November 6th, her name made headlines again when a man named Tyler Brewer came forward and stated that he had been held against his will at Ashlee's home. According to him, he had reached out to help in the search after Melodee was reported missing. He worked as a legal document assistant and reporter, and he thought that he could help get the story out there and support Ashlee through the process. Apparently, Ashlee became increasingly distressed after sharing some information with him that it appeared she regretted and pulled out a box cutter. Despite asking to leave several times, Ashlee would not allow him. So she was arrested the next day for false imprisonment. She pled not guilty, but was released from jail on probation with a GPS monitor while the case was being looked into. She was supposed to appear in court on November 19th, 2025, but the case was dismissed after listening to a recording between Ashlee and Tyler Brewer from the day of the alleged altercation. From what I gather, the conversation between the two of them did not match Tyler's account of events. Now keep in mind, this entire time, Melodee is still missing, and Ashlee is giving authorities nothing to go on. She doesn't even seem fazed that her daughter is nowhere to be found. At one point, she even gave the explanation that she had left Melodee with an unknown family in Utah. The fate and the whereabouts of the 9-year-old little girl remained at a standstill until December 6th of 2025, when a couple was out taking photos in a rural area of Wayne County, Utah, while on a walk. On their journey, they found the decomposed body of a girl who appeared to have gunshot wounds to the head as the cause of death. On December 17th, the cartridge casings found among the body were found to be a match of the expended shell casing found in Ashlee Buzzard's home. And on December 22nd, the FBI crime lab confirmed a DNA link between the remains that were found and Ashlee Buzzard, declaring that the remains belonged to Melodee. The pieces all came together at once, and they are so dark. Coroners believe that Melodee was killed shortly after their sighting at the Colorado-Utah border. On December 23rd, Ashlee Buzzard was arrested for the murder of her daughter, Melodee. On December 26th, she pled not guilty to the murder charge with special allegations. Now, these special allegations are that, quote, Ashlee Buzzard personally and intentionally discharged a firearm while causing death and committed the murder by means of lying in wait, end quote. From what I'm gathering, she's claiming that it was an accident, but did nothing to help the child with her injuries, and therefore still caused her death. I am not, however, buying that for a second. I think this entire crime was carefully calculated and committed in absolute cold blood. This was a helpless child. This was her child. This was somebody that she was meant to keep safe and who Melodee felt safe with. I don't think for a second that Melodee knew at all what was going to happen that day that she left with her mom. It was completely tragic and senseless, and I wish more than anything that this was not the outcome, as you can probably hear from my quivering voice here. And I hope that Melodee is resting in paradise. Now, regardless of any mental health issues that Ashlee Buzzard continues to struggle with, she made several attempts to disguise herself, her daughter, and her whereabouts on that road trip between the wigs and switching out the plates, meaning that she knew what she was doing was wrong and that people were looking for them. That, and she had days of driving between Lompoc and Green River, Utah to stop herself. This was premeditated, so I think that everything that unraveled in court is completely justified. Ashlee was charged with first-degree murder during a preliminary hearing in January of 2026, and is being held without bail at the Santa Barbara County Northern Branch Jail. Now, Ashlee was absent from her hearing in February of 2026, claiming that the comments that were made from people in court made her feel intimidated in January. I am biting my tongue here, people. I beg your pardon. Another date has been set for this month in March, so I will be sure to update you as Ashlee's trial unfolds. I know that the death penalty has been taken off the table, and the state is looking for life in prison. Melodee was friendly and loving and kind. She had dark curls and a smile that would make you smile yourself. According to her family, she was always happy and smiling. She was easy to get along with, and I can't possibly understand what brought Ashlee Buzzard to do this. And unfortunately, we do not know what her claimed motive is. There is no reason that this should have happened, as we know, and it's all around just very sad. Melodee deserved better. If you suspect that a child is possibly being endangered or abused in any way, call the Child Help National Child Abuse Hotline at 1-800-4A-CHILD or 1-800-422-4453. All calls are toll-free and confidential and will be investigated. Now, that is our story for today. It's sad for me to say that I hope you enjoyed this one because it was hard to tell, but I felt that it was important that I completed Melodee's story. And like I said, I will be sure to update you. If you enjoyed the show, please remember to leave me 5 stars wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word and help new people find the show. Friendly reminder that I will also be at CrimeCon in May in Las Vegas if anybody would like to meet up. And if you have a case suggestion, please send it to itstrulytwisted@gmail.com. I will see you next week for another episode. And in the meantime, remember, you are wanted, you are loved, and you deserve to be here. And I will see you next week.